This project had its start a couple of years ago when a group of Chestertown residents got together and decided that what we really need is a children's playground, preferably at Wilmer Park. This evolved into a grant request that went to the National Endowment for the Arts, and Chestertown being what it is, I think it sells itself beautifully for grants of this sort. The National Endowment for the Arts ended up awarding Chestertown one of only 2 grants from the Art Town program in the state of Maryland. The grant was sought with the assistance of River Arts. Lady Sakeley is here from River Arts. They were the partner group for that grant request. The funding was $25,000 from the NEA program, $25,000 cash match from the town of Chestertown. We had 2 goals basically for the grant. One was to create a public arts master plan for the town. You can see the map over there, which was one aspect of that public arts master plan. And the second was to fund an inaugural public arts project, which in this case is the playscape or playground, but public art at Wilmer Park. Your role tonight is basically to listen to the representatives from Zickersneed, but ultimately the public arts master plan, what we'd like to see is have that adopted as part of the Chestertown comprehensive plan.
We believe wholeheartedly that bringing art and connecting art and people is one of the kind of fundamentals to create great places. So we had a lot to work with already. The town of Chestertown is a phenomenal place with incredible arts-oriented people already, and the grant that you all wrote was perfect. It set out a very well-defined vision, which is to create a public arts master plan based on the themes of art, history, and environment to ensure that public art would be integrated into the social and ecological fabric of Chestertown. And we all know that it already is, but to have a plan in place to map out the future, to ensure that public art is integrated into other planning projects is really fundamentally a very clear vision. And to know that this public arts master plan will be incorporated into the comprehensive plan to experience, reinforce identity. Chestertown has a phenomenal identity. It's reinforcing that identity for your own people, residents, but also reinforcing it for the visitors that come through that you want to hold on to stimulate the economy, because art is a driver of economic activity. The state of Maryland, the two images you see up there are a result of the state of Maryland State Arts Council surveyed and kind of put together data related to arts in the state of Maryland, and recognizes that art-specific activities generated over $1.07 billion in revenue over the past 5 years, I think, which includes $427 million in new salary, 12,000 jobs. So art can be a very significant component to drive the economy. So the plan, it's behind you on the wall there, and it's here if I can zoom in. I just mentioned Wilmer Park, but really broke down into the what and the where on the plan. Gateways were really important. The 213 bridge or the roundabout, how we really want to highlight planning around those 2 areas because they're the real gateways to the city. So incorporating public art to help start to tell the story of what Chestertown is and who you are. That's a great branding opportunity. So art and branding is a dialogue that can be fueled by this. Historic exhibits, those that you currently have, those stories that need to be better told, were identified. So they are on the map as potential locations, but by no means are they comprehensive. The art path connects many, many historic places that we chose not to identify. because they're already being told, but we want to make sure we link them on that art path. Permanent art is what you might consider a sculpture on a plinth, or it's an art object that's integrated into an experience. That is a lot of times what people think of as public art, but we believe that it's a much bigger conversation. Playscape, it's the inaugural project. It was identified that Wilmer Park is the best place to do that, to capture kids' attention, and to give them an experience around art that is playful, and to capture the family was hugely important. And we've also identified a place to the northwest as well in that environment. Environmental art is a huge component to this. You have an incredible environment, the intersection of water and land, and Sandbox is already kind of capitalizing on this wonderful place to do great work. And so we've identified areas that are large for Sandbox to do their thing, but also smaller interventions along the art path that are great opportunities for environmental art. The art path itself, as drawn on the map, represents the 100-year floodplain. So that is in of itself an environmental art piece. And there are artists out that do these pieces that would be commissioned or could be commissioned that highlight certain aspects of the environment. Outdoor performance, again, leveraging Wilmer Park, keeping the view, and putting performance art space as part of perhaps a reconstructed bulwark at the edge, so that it doesn't block the view on non-event days, but that a stage could be erected there. Stepney Farm is a great development opportunity, and you can see a proposed future vision for that could be different than what you're seeing there. What's important to us in that plan are twofold: extending the city grid into that area, improving some of the vehicular and pedestrian intersections and cycling intersections, but creating an axial greenway between the manor and Wilmer Park, which you can kind of see there, that could be used for performance space, that could be used for environmental art, that could obviously highlight the manor house itself as a historic facility. And of course that's with Washington College to work those things out, but identifying how that property might be developed was important to us in this plan to integrate public art into the bigger capital project. But leveraging your existing constituents that are arts related, stakeholders, River Arts, the Missoni Gallery, Kent County Art Council, these folks are already working really hard, so leveraging them as a nonprofit partner in a public-private partnership to pull this off seems to be like a very good model. So you'll see on this chart in our final report that's in draft form currently, that a public arts consortium could be created, a new nonprofit organization that has representation from all of the various existing arts organizations or vested interests, and they would be the private partnership. They would be in charge of fundraising to make sure that the plan has adequate funds to move forward. They'd be writing grants. They would be writing the proposals to artists to create great work of art for Chestertown. Inside that organization would be a public arts administrator, a staff position that basically is the wheeler and dealer that makes sure this all gets done.
I'm Lainey Cycling, and I'm representing River Arts. The Public Arts Master Plan, funded by the NEA Airtown Grant and facilitated by the Ziegler-Sneed architectural firm, was the product of an inclusive and engaging process that produced thoughtful input from a sizable cross-section of our community. The plan will be an incredible resource for us as we move forward with implementation. We will be able to apply for grants and solicit donors piece by piece, though not in a piecemeal way because we have a master plan. Investors, builders, planners, town council members, and other stakeholders will benefit from this identification of where we hope to display, interact with, and incorporate public art. In the process of developing the plan, we recognized that not everyone shared the same definition of public art. I believe the description written by Elizabeth Umbenhauer, landscape architect who teaches public art at the University of Washington, describes how we thought about the public art in our planning discussions. She says, art fulfills a variety of functions within the public sphere, providing opportunities for, among other things, artistic self-expression, community dialogue, education, and enjoyment. Inspiring participation in appreciation and creation of art, community problem solving, enhancement of the physical infrastructure and environment, and demarcation, celebration, and transformation of place. And placemaking is really where the grant money is these days, so I think that speaks well to that. And though that definition probably didn't clear up any confusion, I did want you to at least see it's a much broader concept.
I'm Alex Castro. I'm a member of the Public Art Commission for Maryland and a former member of the Baltimore City Public Art Commission. And I'm presently director of Washington's Sandbox program, which is a bit of an enigma for some people, but I'll try to set it straight. It's an initiative aimed at creativity in the natural environment, and a program that very much is in sync with the plans presented here this evening. Sandbox brings artists to the college and to Chestertown to create, for the most part, experimental works of art using the Stepney Manor grounds and often waterfront campus. These works are usually temporary, but they may last for some time depending on the work. Given the extremely thoughtful and creative plan developed by Zigger Sneed, much of our art output would be open to view along the proposed paths throughout Stepney and the waterfront through town. So there's this sync between Sandbox, what we're trying to do at Sandbox, and what is being talked about here, very strongly.
Coming at it from a slightly different way. I'm not a nonprofit. I have one small business downtown, but you all know I have spent a lot of time and a lot of energy loving this town, trying to be an activist in this town, and trying to see us really be able to stay vibrant, but to stay economically strong, to be able to grow in ways that we want to. And I think that that's very important as we look at that little set of circles. Art, history, environment. All are important. And what do we mean by environment? I think that's a very interesting concept right there, in that we are going to be facing all sorts of environmental issues that our community and our town needs to look at. And I think this is one of the exciting challenges for us. How are we going to bring all of these things together and present it in such a way that people see us as leading the charge for rural communities? What are we doing to make our community safe, grow, and be something that's going to be important as we move into the future? Well, it's our history, and I think it's our arts, and it's also going to be the environmental issues that we'll be facing.
I would say I looked at this and I was very impressed. Sometimes when you bring in outside groups from bigger cities, I don't always feel like they get the town like I wished they had. But I really didn't get that feeling at all looking at this. This is probably the best rendition of Stepney that I've seen, and I've seen quite a few that made me want to run out of the room screaming for my time on the planning commission. I love the walkway and how it's interconnected and brings people back into town. It's basically the exact same what I was trying to articulate when I ran for mayor, so I love that connectivity. There's a lot of great stuff on that plan that we can really aspire to achieve, starting with the marina. The one question I would have is, I always come back to like, what can we do like now? What can we do this year? And do we have funds left over to actually put in the playscape that started this whole thing? Because I would like to see that happen within the next calendar year. That's been talked about for a decade.
There's between 10 and 15,000 left of the total project cost to at the very least, significantly seed that project. And then I think in combination with the Public Arts Master Plan serving as something to help us pursue additional funding. And I think there's the opportunity there also for private donations. I think there's a real groundswell of private support.
Going back to Carla's comment about baby steps, that to me is a baby step on land that we own and a place that we control with some funding that we kind of already have to start. That would be, I think, of easy, low-lying fruit to pick first to get this ball rolling. And I'm doing my damnedest to push the ball down the road on the marina, and that's what we can control right now.